Welcome back to another episode of SNEED-CAST Industry Update, your go-to source for staying sharp in a fast-moving world of manufacturing, packaging, coding, and beyond. If you've been with us for a while, you already know the drill, but if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. I'm your host Alexa, and today we'll discuss topics ranging from the closure of the federal SNAP-Ed program and its impact on communities to RFK Jr.'s surprising policy shift supporting pesticide production after years of opposition. We'll also explore the Supreme Court's recent rulings against Trump's tariffs and its implications for global trade. And finally, we'll dive into the economic fallout of the ongoing conflict with Iran, including rising oil prices and inflation concerns. Stay tuned for an insightful discussion. We have an important update regarding the recent closure of the federal SNAP-Ed program. The U.S. government originally launched this nutrition education initiative in 1977 to help low-income families make healthier food choices. As Diane Kress, dietitian and professor at Wayne State University, points out, SNAP-Ed helped more than 40 million Americans on SNAP benefits learn to shop, prepare meals, and eat healthier. The program served as the educational arm of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, currently supporting over 40 million Americans in buying groceries. SNAP-Ed educators taught vital skills like meal planning, grocery budgeting, label reading, and hands-on cooking to over 1.2 million people every single year. This initiative operated on a $536 million budget in 2025, meaning it cost just 1 penny for every SNAP dollar spent compared to over $100 billion spent on SNAP itself. State partners implemented the program through community groups, nonprofits, schools, and university extensions, including creative approaches in places like Georgia and Wyoming to continue some services after federal defunding. Data shows that every dollar invested in this community health education ultimately saved $10.64 in Medicaid spending, according to USDA studies. In Michigan, the loss of SNAP-Ed meant over $10 million in federal support disappearing from Michigan State University Extension. SNAP-Ed's impact is clear in a 2018 Detroit pilot study. 22 out of 23 participants lost weight and lowered their diabetes risk, with all but one reversing from pre-diabetic to non-diabetic sugar levels after combining SNAP-Ed cooking lessons with the National Diabetes Prevention Program. As Kress notes, we've all left the doctor's office with instructions to eat better, which is essentially useless without the tools to do so. SNAP-Ed taught people how. Experts projected that reducing chronic diseases through these healthy habits could have yielded up to $1 trillion in healthcare savings by 2030. Despite these clear financial and health benefits, the Trump administration shuttered the program as of October 1st of 2025 due to budget cuts and major tax reform and spending package. Now, local extensions, universities, and nonprofits are scrambling to find alternative funding to keep these crucial services alive. While free online SNAP-Ed resources remain accessible for now, if a pharmaceutical company invented a simple pill that achieved these exact same health outcomes, reducing diabetes risk by 40% and lowering blood sugar by nearly 1 point, society would hail it as an absolute medical miracle. Diane Kress asks us to consider the proverb, "Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime." SNAP-Ed was teaching over 1 million Americans to fish every year. We must consider what our communities truly lose when we eliminate inexpensive, skills-based education that successfully prevents chronic disease and builds trust in at-risk communities. A surprising policy shift from U.S. Health and Human Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is causing a stir among his supporters and critics. Kennedy, known for winning the landmark case against Monsanto by arguing that its Roundup weed killer contributed to cancer, is now backing glyphosate production as a federal official. This move aligns him with a recent executive order aimed at boosting domestic glyphosate production to ensure agricultural stability and national security, with the goal of ending the U.S.'s near total reliance on foreign sources. In a lengthy statement, Kennedy acknowledged that pesticides are toxic by design, but said, "I support President Trump's executive order to bring agricultural chemical production back to the United States and end our near total reliance on adversarial nations." The order also grants limited legal immunity to pesticide manufacturers who follow federal directives, sparking debate about accountability. This has created a rift within his Make America Healthy Again, or MAHA, coalition, which includes environmental advocates and anti-vaccine activists frustrated by what they now see as a betrayal of Kennedy's long-standing position. Prominent activists like Zen Honeycutt, founder of Moms Across America, publicly voiced their frustration by posting, "We love you, Bobby, but this administration needs to keep their word. highlighting a perceived lack of action to reduce pesticide exposure. Another activist, Kelly Ryerson, called the policy America Last anti-MAHA and unforgivable, signaling growing division within the coalition. Critics argue that this is a part of a larger pattern favoring pesticide manufacturers, referencing a proposal from House Republicans that would make it harder to sue these companies, and a Supreme Court case backed by the Justice Department that could limit future Roundup liability. The EPA maintains glyphosate is not likely carcinogenic when used properly, while Kennedy continues to state that he believes it causes cancer, citing scientific studies that support his contention. To address concerns and encourage a move away from harmful chemicals, the administration recently launched a $700 million regenerative agricultural pilot program to help farmers improve soil and water quality as well as productivity. Meanwhile, MAHA's leadership circulated a memo urging the coalition to remain fact-based and strategic, warning corporate media and political opponents would love nothing more to see the MAHA coalition fracture. We will not give them that. Kennedy's political allies are also urging unity, with HHS advisor David Manstofer noting MAHA has a choice this election season: support the Trump administration and continue to have a voice in Washington, or stay at home and watch their federal agenda come to a halt. The situation leaves many wondering about the difficult balance between political loyalty, national security, and long-held public health convictions, as Senator Cory Booker described the order as a slap in the face to the thousands of Americans who have gotten cancer from glyphosate, putting a spotlight on the conflict between profit, policy, and public health. A recent Supreme Court ruling has struck down President Trump's most sweeping tariffs, but the decision has created more questions than answers for global trade. The court specifically targeted tariffs justified under the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or the IEEPA, ruling the president can no longer use it to impose import taxes by decree. In response, the administration plans to use other laws like Section 122 of the Trades Act of 1974, which allows for tariffs up to 15% for 150 days, but has never before been invoked, and was designed for financial crises when the dollar was backed by gold. Trump's reaction to the ruling was unpredictable and chaotic. After the decision, he announced new tariffs at 10%, then suggested raising them to 15%, but ultimately implemented a 10% levy, adding confusion for importers and trade partners. Experts like Brian Riley of the National Taxpayers Union argue Section 122 is an obsolete provision meant for fundamental international payment problems, not trade deficits, and its use could trigger a new wave of litigation. The administration is also launching investigations under Section 301 of the same act, a tool previously used to impose tariffs on Chinese imports, and these so-called sticky tariffs have historically proven difficult to remove. The uncertainty is deepened by questions like whether lower tariffs could benefit the economy. Economist Mike Swardell points out that any advantage is outweighed by the drag created by unpredictability. This legal chaos has cast a shadow over trade deals negotiated with partners like the European Union and the United Kingdom. For example, the EU has paused ratification of its agreements and is seeking clarification as to whether new U.S. tariffs will stack atop current World Trade Organization rates. Trade lawyer Ryan Majoris noted that the situation has only gotten more complicated for everybody, and trade partners remain wary as the U.S. could still wield Section 301 tariffs as an enforcement mechanism if deals are violated. A major point of confusion is the fate of the $133 billion already collected from the now illegal tariffs, with some estimates suggesting potential refunds could climb to $175 billion. The Supreme Court left the messy process of issuing refunds to lower courts and customs agencies, where hundreds of companies are already seeking their money back. Businesses could face either streamlined relief or a burdensome process requiring mountains of paperwork or legal action. No relief is expected for consumers. While the ruling was a rebuke of executive overreach, it has paradoxically deepened the uncertainty, paralyzing businesses and trade partners worldwide. As refund logistics and tariff enforcement tools swirl in legal and political limbo, this leaves everyone to wonder if the end of one tariff battle simply signals the beginning of a prolonged and unpredictable trade war fought on new legal grounds. The ongoing conflict with Iran is sending ripples through the U.S. economy, raising new concerns about inflation and growth. Oil prices have already jumped, with U.S. oil rising over 5% to $75.22 a barrel, and average nationwide gas prices climbing to $3.11 a gallon. Economists are closely watching the Strait of Hormuz, a critical shipping lane that handles about one-fifth of the world's oil and natural gas, and any disruption could have significant effects on energy markets. Natural gas prices have also surged, in part due to the recent shutdown of a liquid natural gas plant in Qatar and increased energy consumptions by AI data centers. This trend threatens to drive up U.S. electricity prices, adding to household bills. A prolonged conflict could push inflation above 3% for the first time since early 2024, impacting everything from airfare and shipping to grocery prices, especially as oil is used in chemicals, plastics, and many industrial processes. President Trump acknowledged the little high oil prices, but predicted they would drop once the conflict ends. However, uncertainty could harm business confidence, leading companies to invest and hire less, is noted by economist Kathy Blaszczak. This echoes previous impacts from tariffs that weighed on job growth more through uncertainty than direct price increases. The article notes that the U.S. economy is not as oil dependent as it was in the past decades, with a larger service sector and higher pre-conflict oil inventories, providing a buffer that could help moderate future price spikes, contrasting with disruptions seen in the aftermath of earlier global shocks like the 2022 Russia-Ukraine conflict. Nevertheless, the ongoing situation poses a political risk for the administration, as rising prices could worsen the public's already gloomy outlook on the economy. Surveys continue to show that Americans remain focused on affordability concerns and are skeptical of optimistic government messaging. Federal Reserve officials, including Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kasharky, are adopting a wait-and-see approach. Lingering geopolitical uncertainty may cause the Fed to delay any further interest rate cuts, even though markets had previously expected at least 2 rate reductions this year. While the U.S. is less oil dependent than in the past, a sustained conflict threatens to stall economic progress and intensify affordability concerns for American households, reinforcing collective unease over economic conditions. The situation leaves the economy in a precarious position where geopolitical tensions abroad could directly translate to financial pressure back home. This episode of SNEED-CAST Industry Update is brought to you by our SNEED-Jet Freedom handheld inkjet printer, your portable solution for high-resolution printing on virtually any surface. With the ability to print up to 1-inch tall barcodes, logos, and text, this lightweight maintenance-free printer offers unmatched versatility, featuring a touchscreen display, 7+ hours of battery life, and support for multiple languages. The SNEED-Jet Freedom handheld lets you print anywhere, anytime with ease. And we made it to this week's Recall Radar. So the first product that you're looking out for this week is Miss Vicky's Spicy Dill Pickled Potato Chips. You're looking for the 8-ounce bags. The reason for the recall, there's undeclared milk allergen due to potential inclusion of jalapeno flavored chips. The risk, there's serious or life-threatening allergic reactions for individuals with milk allergies. So what should you do as a consumer? Consumers with milk allergies should not consume the product and should discard it immediately. The next product on Recall Radar is none other than Savannah Bee Company Honey Barbecue Sauce Mustard, the 16-ounce bottles. The reason for the recall, there's undeclared wheat and soy allergens due to mislabeling with the Honey Barbecue Sauce Mustard label instead of Honey Barbecue Sauce Sweet. The risk, serious or life-threatening allergic reactions for individuals with wheat or soy allergies. And consumers should dispose of the product and request a full refund. Our next product is none other than Rhino Choco VIP 10X. You're looking out for the 10-gram or the 12-piece packages. There's undeclared tadalafil, the active ingredient in Cialis, which is not listed on the product label. Tadalafil may dangerously lower blood pressure when interacting with nitrates found in some prescription drugs, posing a risk to individuals with diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or heart disease. As a consumer, you should return the product to the place of purchase for a full refund. And our last product is none other than Quest Cat Food, the chicken recipe, the frozen 2-pound bags. There's potentially low levels of thiamine, vitamin B1, which is essential for cats. Thiamine deficiency in cats can cause symptoms like decreased appetite, vomiting, weight loss, and neurological issues such as vision changes, wobbly walking, and seizures. If treated promptly, the condition is reversible. Consumers should stop feeding the product to their cats and return it to the place of purchase for a full refund or replacement. That's it for this week's episode of SNEED-CAST Industry Update, but the conversation doesn't stop here. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell down below so you never miss an update. We also want to hear from you. Drop a comment and let us know what topics you'd like to see us dive into next. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you in on the next one. Bye, everyone.